The radio crackled with laughter. "Little American girl plays with big machine," the enemy voice mocked in broken English. Captain Aria Lawson's hands never left the controls. Below her, Apache 300 Marines were dying in a valley-turned-killing field. Every other pilot was too far out. She was their only chance. The men who'd joked about the publicity token in their briefing room 3 hours ago were now screaming her call sign into their radios, begging her to save them. Before we begin this story, I want to ask you something. If this story moves you, if it makes you think about courage differently, hit that subscribe button right now. Stay with me until the end, because what happened in that valley changed everything. And drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. Now let's go back to where it all started. Is that a child or a pilot? Aria heard it the second she walked into the Fort Carson briefing room. Captain Derek Hutchins didn't even try to whisper. He wanted her to hear. She kept walking, took her seat in the back row. "I'm serious." Hutchins continued loud enough for the entire room. "What is she, 5'2"? How does she even reach the pedals?" Lieutenant Marcus Chen laughed. "They probably installed booster seats." "Gentlemen," Major Kenneth Bradshaw said from the front. He didn't sound upset, just tired. "Let's focus." Aria pulled out her tablet, started reviewing the mission brief. Her hands didn't shake. They never shook. That's what 8 months of this had taught her, how to make your body do nothing while your chest felt like it was caving in. Staff Sergeant Jace Moreno slid into the seat next to her. "You good?" he asked quietly. "Always." "Liar." She almost smiled. Bradshaw tapped the projection screen. "Listen up. Marines are running reconnaissance through Trinity Valley. Sector 7, standard patrol, 300 personnel, no heavy contact expected." Aria studied the satellite image. The valley formed a narrow corridor between 2 ridge lines, 1 entrance, 1 exit. "Sir," she said. The room went quiet. Hutchins turned around in his seat. "Yes, Lawson," Bradshaw said. "That's a kill box." "Excuse me." "The valley, sir. Steep ridges on both sides. Single exit to the south. If hostile forces wanted to trap a unit, that's where they'd do it." Hutchins laughed. "Jesus Christ. 1 tactical manual, and suddenly she's Napoleon." "Actually, it's basic terrain analysis," Aria said. Her voice stayed level. "Any competent enemy would see that valley as Lawson," Bradshaw interrupted. "Intelligence indicates minimal hostile presence in that sector. The Marines are aware of the terrain. Your concern is noted." Translation shut up. "Yes, sir," Bradshaw continued briefing. Aria stopped listening. She stared at that valley on the screen, counted the possible ambush positions, calculated fields of fire, identified where she'd put anti-aircraft weapons if she were planning a trap. It was perfect. Too perfect. "Phoenix 2, you're on standby," Bradshaw said. "You and Moreno, Firebase Atlas. If anything develops, your first response." "Copy, sir." The briefing ended. Pilots filed out. Aria gathered her notes. "Hey, Valkyrie." She looked up. Hutchins stood in front of her, 6'2", arms crossed, smirking. "Little advice," he said. "In the real military, we don't appreciate people who think they're smarter than everyone else." "I don't think I'm smarter," Aria said. "I just read the map." "You read too much. You know what you should read the room. Nobody wants you here. You're a PR stunt, a photo op for recruitment brochures." Jay stepped between them. "Back off, Hutchins. Or what, Moreno, you gonna defend your little—" "Finish that sentence," Jay said. His voice dropped. "Please." Hutchins stared at him, then shrugged. "Whatever. Don't come crying when she freezes up in actual combat." He walked out. Aria exhaled slowly. "You should have let me hit him," Jay said, "and get court-martialed." "No thanks. Would have been worth it." She stood. "Come on, we have a helicopter to prep." 90 minutes later, Aria sat in Phoenix 2's cockpit running her 3rd pre-flight check. "Oil pressure good," Jay said through the intercom from the gunner seat. "Weapon systems green, we're ready." "Roger." Aria's hands moved across the controls. Collective, cyclic, pedals, every switch, every gauge. Some pilots did quick checks. Aria did thorough checks, because thorough meant alive. "You're doing it again," Jay said. "Doing what?" triple-checking everything. You only do that when you're worried. I'm not worried. Right, and I'm not Mexican. What's eating you? Aria stopped, looked at the tactical map on her display. The valley sat there like an open wound. That terrain, she said, it's wrong. How? Too convenient. Send 300 Marines through a natural funnel, tell them it's low risk. Either our intelligence is garbage or someone wants them in there. You told Bradshaw. He didn't listen. He never does. The radio crackled. Phoenix 2 Atlas Control. Weather update. Storm front accelerating. Recommend grounding non-essential flights. Aria checked her watch. 13:47. Copy Atlas. Phoenix 2 holding position. She unstrapped, climbed down, stood on the firebase tarmac with her arms crossed, staring north toward the valley. Jace appeared beside her. Talk to me. I have a bad feeling. About the Marines. About everything. He was quiet for a moment, then, your feelings are usually right. Yeah, that's the problem. Marine Captain Evan Cole had learned to trust his gut in Kandahar. Right now, his gut was screaming. Gunny, he said. Something's off. Gunnery Sergeant Marcus Shaw looked around the valley. 300 Marines spread out in tactical formation. Alpha Company on point. Bravo in the middle. Headquarters element with Cole. Too quiet, Shaw said. 6 hours of patrol. Haven't seen a goddamn thing. Not even animals. Yeah, I noticed that too. Cole keyed his radio. All units maintain dispersion. Stay alert. He studied the ridge lines. Dense tree cover, rocky outcroppings, 1,000 hiding spots. They were 2 kilometers from the southern exit. So close. But those 2 kilometers felt like walking through a graveyard. Sir, Corporal Jenny Martinez said. She was his radio operator, 21 years old, sharp as hell. I'm picking up something. What kind of something? Radio traffic. Foreign language. Close. Cole's blood went cold. How close? Martinez adjusted her equipment, pointed at the western ridge. Right there. All units. The world exploded. Machine guns opened up from both ridges simultaneously. Mortars screamed in. RPGs streaked through the air. Marines hit the dirt. Contact, contact, heavy contact, Cole shouted into his radio. He dove behind a boulder. Rounds hammered the rock inches from his head. Shaw was beside him, firing controlled bursts up the ridge. We're fucked. They got us in a kill box. Cole knew. The valley walls pinned them. The enemy held the high ground. Perfect ambush. Perfect execution. Overwatch Bravo 6, he transmitted. We are in heavy contact. 300 Marines under fire. Need immediate air support. Static. Thunder. Then Bravo 6 Overwatch. Copy your situation. All air assets are engaged or out of range due to weather. What's your nearest bird? Phoenix 2, Apache gunship. Firebase Atlas. 12 minutes out. 12 minutes. Cole looked at his Marines. Kids, 20 years old, bleeding, dying. 12 minutes was forever. Send them, he said. An explosion threw dirt across his position. He tasted blood. All units air support inbound 12 minutes, he transmitted. Hold your ground. Phoenix 2 is coming. What's Phoenix 2? Someone shouted over the radio. Our only chance. The call came through while Aria was checking ammunition count. Phoenix 2 Atlas Control. Emergency traffic. Bravo 6 is in heavy contact. Trinity Valley. 300 Marines pinned. You're the only asset in range. Aria's heart didn't speed up, didn't slow down, just stayed steady. Copy Atlas, spinning up now. Send coordinates. She climbed into the cockpit, strapped in. Her hands flew through the start sequence. I heard, Jace said from the front seat. We going. We're going. Weather's 0-0 in that valley. Then we fly instruments. Anti-aircraft reported. They can try. The engines wound up. The rotors accelerated. That sound, the Apache's sound, meant salvation or death depending on which side you were on. Phoenix 2 airborne. Aria transmitted. The helicopter lifted, tilted forward, accelerated north. Jace pulled up the tactical display. Red icons everywhere. Blue icons clustered in the center. Jesus, he breathed. They're surrounded. I know. The radio burst with Marine voices, screaming, crying, begging, taking heavy casualties. Can't hold. Where's our air? Aria pushed the throttle forward. The Apache surged ahead. 8 minutes, she said. Too long. I know. She pushed harder. The engine screamed. The airframe vibrated. They entered the storm front. Rain hammered the windscreen. This is insane, Jay said. Yeah. We could die. Probably. Just making sure you know. I know. The radio crackled again. Phoenix 2, you are cleared hot. Engage at will. Good hunting. Good hunting. Like they were going after deer instead of flying into hell. In the valley, Marines were dying. Cole had pulled back to a cluster of rocks. Martinez was beside him, her left arm bleeding through her uniform. Shaw was firing, reloading, firing again. Casualties, Cole shouted over the gunfire. 30 wounded, 5 dead, Shaw shouted back. And counting. Another mortar hit. The concussion knocked Cole sideways. His ears went deaf for 3 seconds. Then sound came back screaming, shooting explosions. They were losing. Bravo 6 Overwatch. Phoenix 2 is 5 minutes out. 5 minutes. Cole looked at the kid next to him. Private First Class David Chen, 19 years old, from Seattle. Blood running down his face from a shrapnel wound. You hear that, Chen? 5 minutes. What's one helicopter gonna do, sir? Good question. Enough, Cole said. It's gonna do enough. He hoped he wasn't lying. Aria crested the ridge and saw it. The valley below was hell. Smoke, fire, tiny figures running, falling, dying. Tracers arcing up from the ridges. Explosions everywhere. Oh my God, Jace whispered. Aria's eyes scanned the tactical display. Enemy positions, Marine positions. The kill zone, the threat rings from anti-aircraft weapons. Phoenix 2, Bravo 6. Cole's voice burst through her helmet. We are critically low on ammo and taking casualties. Need immediate fire support on both ridges. Bravo 6, Phoenix 2, Aria said. Calm, steady. We see you. Hold on. She studied the valley. Every instinct said stay at range. Fire missiles from safety. That's what doctrine said. That's what training said. That's what would keep her alive. But the enemy knew doctrine too. They'd positioned anti-aircraft specifically for standard attack runs. If she flew by the book, they'd kill her before she could help. Jace, she said, I'm going in low, treetop level, inside the valley. Silence. Then, that's suicide. Every gun they have will target us. That's the point. What? They expect us to stay outside. Standoff range, safe. So we go where they don't expect, right down their throat. Aria, this isn't in any manual. The manual doesn't save those Marines. Another silence. Longer this time. Then Jace laughed, sharp, hard. Fuck it. Let's go be heroes or corpses. Aria pushed the cyclic forward. The Apache dove. Is that the helicopter? Martinez asked. Cole looked up, saw the Apache descending toward the valley entrance. Yeah, he said. Why is it coming so low? I don't know. But then he understood. The pilot wasn't making a standard attack run. The pilot was diving into the valley, into the kill box, where every enemy gun could target them. They're insane, Shaw said. No, Cole said. They're brave. The Apache dropped below the ridgeline, disappeared into the valley itself, flying at treetop level, right through the enemy fire. Who's flying that thing? Martinez asked. Cole checked his roster data. Phoenix 2, Captain A. Lawson and Staff Sergeant J. Moreno. They're gonna die helping us, Shaw said quietly. Maybe, Cole said. Or maybe they're about to save all of us. Aria was flying 20 feet above the ground. Trees flashed past on both sides. The Apache screamed through the valley at 200 knots. Enemy positions on the ridges suddenly realized she wasn't above them, She was below them. Target acquired, Jace said. Northwest gun nest. Cleared hot. Jace fired. The Hellfire missile streaked out. 2 seconds later, the gun nest exploded. Fireball rolling up into the sky. Direct hit, Jace said. Engaging second target. The 30mm chain gun opened up. That sound echoed off the valley walls. The gun nest on the eastern ridge disintegrated. Aria banked hard left. A surface-to-air missile launched from the ridge. She saw it coming. Missile launch, Jace shouted. Standard procedure: climb and evade. Get altitude. Deploy countermeasures. Aria dropped lower instead. What are you doing? Jace screamed. Trust me. She dove toward the trees. The missile tracked her. She flew between tree trunks. The missile lost lock, confused by the terrain clutter. It sailed overhead and exploded harmlessly against the ridge. You're completely insane, Jace yelled. But alive. She pulled up, hard. The Apache climbed vertical. She rolled inverted, looked down at the missile launcher position. Got you, she whispered. She fired. The launcher exploded. On the ground, Marines cheered. Cole watched in disbelief. The Apache was doing things helicopters weren't supposed to do. Flying between trees, dodging missiles, rolling inverted, attacking from impossible angles. And every few seconds, another enemy position exploded. Who is this pilot? Shaw asked. I don't know, Cole said. But remind me to buy them a drink. The radio crackled. Bravo 6, Phoenix 2. I need you to mark your northernmost position. I'm coming in hot and I don't want to hit friendlies. A woman's voice. Shaw looked at Cole. The pilot's a woman. Does it matter? Cole snapped. No, sir. Just surprised. Cole keyed his radio. Phoenix 2, Bravo 6. Marking now. He threw a smoke grenade. Red smoke billowed up. Got your position, the pilot said. Stay low. This is going to be close. The Apache came screaming over the Marine position. So low, Cole could see the pilot's helmet. She was firing the chain gun. Rounds hammering the ridge. Enemy soldiers diving for cover. Some of them not fast enough. Target destroyed, she transmitted. Bravo 6, you've got approximately 2 minutes to move your wounded back. I'm going to keep their heads down. Copy Phoenix 2. Moving now. Cole looked at his Marines. You heard her move the wounded double time. They scrambled, grabbing the injured, carrying them toward the southern exit. The Apache circled overhead like an angry angel. Every time enemy forces tried to fire, the chain gun tore them apart. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. The last wounded Marine cleared the kill zone. Phoenix 2, Bravo 6. All wounded are clear. We're pulling back. Copy that. Get your people out. I'll cover your... The transmission cut off. Phoenix 2, Cole called. Phoenix 2, do you copy? Static. Then, we're hit. Multiple systems failing. More static. Cole looked up, saw the Apache. Smoke pouring from the tail rotor, the helicopter wobbling, losing altitude. No, Martinez whispered. No, they can't crash. Not after saving us. The Apache disappeared over the southern ridge. They heard the impact. Metal tearing, rotors shattering. Then, silence. Aria tasted blood. The Apache had hit hard. She'd tried to control the descent, but with the tail rotor gone, the helicopter had spun. They'd clipped trees, bounced, crashed. Now she was hanging upside down in her seat. The cockpit was full of smoke. Jace, she called. Here? He groaned from the front seat. Still alive. You. Yeah. We did it. We did it. Good. He coughed. Totally worth crashing. Aria hit her harness release, dropped into a crouch, crawled forward, helped Jace unbuckle. They pulled themselves out through the shattered canopy. The Apache was destroyed, torn in half, burning. They stumbled away from the wreckage. Aria looked back toward the valley, saw Marines streaming out of the southern exit. Hundreds of them, running toward safety, all of them alive because of what she and Jace had done. Hey, Jace said. You're crying. She touched her face. He was right. I don't cry. Yeah, well, you're doing it anyway. She laughed. It came out as a sob. Then she heard it. Boots. Running. Voices. The Marines had turned around. They were coming toward the crash site, toward her and Jace. Captain Cole reached them first, stopped, stared at Aria. You're the pilot. Yes, sir. You. He seemed unable to finish the sentence. Then, you just saved 300 Marines. Just doing my job, sir. The hell you were. That wasn't in any manual. That was... He shook his head. I don't even have words. More Marines arrived. They formed a circle around Aria and Jace, just standing there, looking at them. Then one Marine started clapping, then another, then all of them. 300 Marines. Applauding. Some of them crying, some of them bloody and wounded but alive. All of them because of the little girl pilot they'd never met. Shaw stepped forward, the big gunny with the scarred face. He looked at Aria, snapped to attention, saluted. Thank you, ma'am, he said. His voice cracked. Thank you for our lives. Aria tried to salute back, but her arm wouldn't work right, probably broken. You're welcome, gunny, she managed. Cole keyed his radio. Overwatch Bravo 6. We have secured Phoenix 2 crew. They're alive. Request immediate evacuation for pilot and WSO. Also, he paused. Also recommend them both for the Silver Star. What they did here today, it saved us all. 6 hours later, Aria sat in a medical tent. Her arm was in a sling, 3 cracked ribs, mild concussion, cuts everywhere. She'd refused pain medication. She wanted to stay alert. The tent flap opened. Major Bradshaw walked in. Lawson, he said. Sir. He stood there for a long moment, just looking at her. I owe you an apology, he finally said. Sir. You called it, in the briefing. You said that valley was a kill box. You were right. I didn't listen, and 300 Marines almost paid the price for my arrogance. Aria didn't know what to say. The Marine Captain Cole, he told me what you did. Flying into the valley at tree level, dodging missiles, taking out positions from impossible angles. He said it was the bravest thing he'd ever seen. No, Bradshaw interrupted. Don't minimize it. You saved 300 lives today. And you did it by ignoring every rule in the book. You did it by trusting your instincts, by being fearless. He stepped closer, extended his hand. I was wrong about you, Captain Lawson. Dead wrong. You're one hell of a pilot. Aria shook his hand. Her good hand. Thank you, sir. Bradshaw left. Jace entered immediately after. How you feeling, he asked. Like I crashed a helicopter. Yeah, that'll do it. He sat beside her bed. You hear what they're calling you. What who's calling me? The Marines. They gave you a new call sign. What is it? Phoenix. Aria blinked. Phoenix. Yeah, because you flew into the fire and pulled them out. And because... He grinned. Because you're apparently impossible to kill. She laughed. It hurt her ribs, but she didn't care. Phoenix, she repeated. I like it. The tent flap opened again. Captain Cole walked in. Behind him were Shaw and Martinez and a dozen other Marines. Ma'am, Cole said, we wanted to say goodbye before you get medevaced out, and we wanted you to have this. He held out a patch. It was custom made. Black background. Red Phoenix rising from flames. Words underneath, Phoenix 2, Trinity Valley, 300 saved. Every Marine in that valley signed the back, Cole said. We want you to remember us. Aria took the patch. Her hand trembled. I could never forget you, she said quietly. We won't forget you either, ma'am, Shaw said. What you did today, that's the stuff legends are made of. They filed past, each Marine shaking her hand or saluting or just saying thank you. 300 Marines alive because one pilot decided that doctrine mattered less than human lives. When they were gone, Aria looked at Jace. You know what the crazy thing is, she said. What? Hutchins was right. I am just 5'3". I do need a step stool sometimes. And I probably was a PR stunt when they assigned me to the unit. So none of that mattered when it counted. What mattered was whether I could fly, whether I could fight, whether I could make the hard call and execute it. And she smiled. The first real smile in months. And I can. Jace nodded. Yeah, you really can. Outside helicopters were landing. The medevac to take her and Jace back to base, back to safety, back to a world that would never quite look at her the same way again. Because the little girl pilot was gone. Phoenix had risen, and everyone knew her name. The medevac flight back to Fort Carson took 40 minutes. Aria spent 38 of them staring out the window, saying nothing. Jace tried to make conversation twice. She didn't respond. He stopped trying. You okay? The flight medic asked. Fine. You don't look fine. I said I'm fine. The medic backed off. Aria wasn't fine. Her body hurt. That was manageable. But her mind kept replaying the valley. The Marines running. The explosions. The moment the tail rotor failed and she knew they were going down. The sound of metal tearing. The feeling of falling. And then the applause. 300 pairs of hands clapping for her. She'd never wanted that. Never asked for it. She just wanted to fly helicopters and be left alone. We're landing, the pilot announced. The helicopter touched down on the Carson medical pad. The door slid open. Aria unbuckled with her good arm. I got you, Jace said, helping her stand. I can walk. I know, but you don't have to walk alone. They stepped out. The rotor wash hit them. Then Aria saw the crowd. 50 people, maybe more. Pilots, ground crew, officers, enlisted, all standing there, all staring at her. What's happening? She asked. Then they started clapping. Not polite clapping. Thunderous applause. Someone whistled. Someone else shouted, Phoenix! Other voices joined in. Phoenix! 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 Aria froze. Walk, Jace whispered. Just walk. She walked. The crowd parted. Hands reached out to touch her shoulder, her arm, her hand. People were crying, smiling, thanking her. Lieutenant Chen, the one who'd made the booster seat joke, stood in front of her. He wasn't smiling. Ma'am, he said, I owe you an apology. I said things. Stupid things. I was wrong. It's okay. No, it's not. You're twice the pilot I'll ever be. I'm sorry. He saluted. Sharp, crisp, respectful. Aria returned it with her good arm. They reached the hospital entrance. A colonel was waiting. Full bird. Aria didn't recognize him. Captain Lawson, he said. I'm Colonel Richard Hayes, base commander. Welcome home. Thank you, sir. The Marines you saved, Captain Cole's been on the phone all morning. He's recommending you for the Silver Star, possibly the Distinguished Flying Cross. He wants the world to know what you did. Sir, I was just... Don't, Hayes interrupted. Don't minimize it. What you did was extraordinary. You saved 300 lives by breaking every rule in the book. That takes guts. That takes genius. That takes... He paused. That takes the kind of courage we tell stories about. Aria didn't know what to say. Get some rest, Hayes said. We'll talk more tomorrow. They put her in a private room. Jace's room was next door. The doctors ran tests, x-rays, CT scan, checked her concussion, rewrapped her ribs, gave her pain medication she refused. You need to rest, the nurse said. I'm fine. You have 3 cracked ribs and a concussion. I've had worse. The nurse left. Aria lay in the hospital bed staring at the ceiling. Her phone buzzed. 23 missed calls, 47 text messages. She turned it off. A knock on the door. Come in. Major Bradshaw entered. He looked tired. How you feeling? He asked. Peachy. Right. He pulled up a chair. Sat. The media's going crazy. Trinity Valley is all over the news. Female pilot saves 300 Marines. They want interviews, press conferences, the whole circus. No, that's what I told them. But Lawson, this is bigger than you now. People want to hear your story. There's no story. I flew my helicopter. I did my job. That's it. You flew through a kill box at tree level and dodged surface-to-air missiles. That's not just your job. Then what is it? Heroism. Aria laughed. It hurt her ribs. I'm not a hero. Heroes are dead. I'm just a pilot who got lucky. Bradshaw leaned forward. You know what the Marines are saying? They're saying you're the reason their husbands came home, their sons, their brothers. You gave families back their loved ones. You think that's luck. I think that's what any pilot would have done. But they didn't. You did, and that matters. He stood, walked to the door, stopped. One more thing. Captain Hutchins requested to speak with you. I told him no. But if you want to see him, I don't. Understood. He left. Aria closed her eyes, tried to sleep. Couldn't. Her mind kept running. The valley, the crash, the Marines, the applause, the phone calls, the media. Everything was changing, and she had no control over any of it. The next morning, Jace appeared in her doorway holding 2 coffees. Breakfast, he said. That's not breakfast. It is if you're too stubborn to eat real food. He sat in the chair Bradshaw had used, handed her a coffee. She took it with her good hand. You look terrible, Jace said. Thanks. I mean it. When's the last time you slept? What time is it? Oh, 900. Then about 30 hours ago. Aria. I'm fine. Stop saying you're fine. You're not fine. Nobody who does what we did yesterday is fine the next day. She sipped the coffee. It was too hot. She didn't care. How are you? She asked. Honestly, freaking out a little. I keep replaying the crash, keep feeling the impact, keep thinking about how close we came to dying. But we didn't die. No, we didn't, because you're the best goddamn pilot I've ever flown with. Jace, let me finish. I've been doing this for 9 years, flown with 20 different pilots, some good, some average, some dangerous, but you're different. You see things, you process things, you make decisions in milliseconds that other pilots need minutes to make. Yesterday proved it. Yesterday proved I can break rules and get away with it. Yesterday proved you can save lives when everyone else would have failed. Aria looked at him, really looked at him. Jace wasn't just her co-pilot, he was her friend, maybe her only real friend. I'm scared, she said quietly. Of what? Of what comes next? Everyone wants something from me now. The media wants a story. The military wants a poster girl. The Marines want a hero. But I'm just me. I'm just Aria. And I don't know how to be anything else. Jace nodded. Then don't be anything else. Be you. That's who saved those Marines. That's who I trust with my life. Just be you. A knock on the door. A captain Aria didn't recognize stepped in. Captain Lawson, I'm Captain Sarah Mitchell, Public Affairs. Colonel Hayes asked me to brief you on the media situation. I already said no interviews. I understand. But ma'am, this isn't going away. Trinity Valley is national news, international news, CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera. Everyone's covering it, and they all want to talk to you. Tell them I'm unavailable. For how long? Forever. Mitchell looked uncomfortable. Ma'am, with respect, the Army would like to use this opportunity to highlight what female soldiers' diversity recruitment. I'm not a propaganda tool. That's not what Yes, it is. That's exactly what you meant. You want to parade me around so you can say, look, women can fly helicopters too. Well, guess what? I already knew that. So did every other woman in uniform. We don't need validation from people who spent the last decade questioning whether we belong here. Mitchell didn't respond. Tell Colonel Hayes thank you, but no. I won't do interviews. I won't do press conferences. I won't be your recruitment poster. I just want to fly. Mitchell nodded slowly. I'll tell him. But ma'am, whether you talk to the media or not, you're already famous. The story's out there. Your name's out there. Phoenix is out there. You can't control that. She left. Jace whistled. You just told public affairs to go to hell. Yeah. That was awesome. Was it stupid? Probably, but also awesome. 3 days later, they discharged Aria from the hospital. Her ribs were healing. Her concussion was manageable. Her arm was still in a sling but functional. She walked back to her barracks quarters, stopped outside her door. Someone had taped newspaper clippings to it. Headlines. Female pilot saves 300 Marines in daring rescue. Phoenix Rising, Captain Aria Lawson's heroic mission. The little girl they mocked became the hero they needed. Aria ripped them down, crumpled them, threw them in the trash. She went inside. Her roommate, Lieutenant Jessica Torres, was sitting on her bunk. You're back, Torres said. Yeah. How you feeling? Fine. Everyone's talking about you. The whole base. Hell, the whole army. Great. Torres stood, walked over. Listen, I know you hate attention, but what you did, that matters. You showed every woman in uniform that we belong here, that we can do anything the men can do, better even. I didn't do it to make a statement. I know. That's what makes it powerful. You just did your job, and your job saved 300 lives. Aria sat on her bunk. I just want things to go back to normal. They won't. Not after this. You're Phoenix now. That comes with responsibility. I didn't ask for it. Nobody asks for greatness. It just happens. And then you deal with it. Torres grabbed her jacket. I'm heading to the mess hall. You coming? Not hungry. Right. Well, when you are hungry, heads up, everyone's going to want to talk to you. Buy you drinks. Thank you. It's going to be overwhelming. Can't wait. Torres left. Aria lay back on her bunk, stared at the ceiling. Her phone buzzed. She ignored it. It buzzed again and again. She turned it off. That night she went to the flight line. Midnight. Nobody around. Just her and the helicopters. She found Phoenix 2's replacement. Identical Apache. Same configuration, different tail number. She climbed up, sat in the pilot seat, put her hands on the controls, closed her eyes. This was home. Not the barracks. Not the mess hall. Not the briefing room. Here. In the cockpit. With the smell of hydraulic fluid and the hum of electronics and the promise of sky. Thought I'd find you here. She opened her eyes. Jace was standing below the helicopter. Can't sleep, he asked. No. Me neither. He climbed up, squeezed into the gunner seat in front of her. You know what's weird, he said. I've crashed before. Afghanistan 2019. Engine failure. Walked away with a sprained ankle. Went back to flying 2 weeks later. Never thought twice about it. And now I think about it constantly. Keep replaying Trinity Valley. Keep seeing that missile coming at us. Keep feeling the impact. Me too. Yeah. Every time I close my eyes, I see the valley, the Marines, the crash, and I think about all the things that could have gone wrong. All the decisions I made in milliseconds that could have killed us. Could have killed them. But they didn't. This time. What about next time? Jace turned in his seat to look at her. There is no next time. Every mission is different. Every decision is new. You can't prepare for everything. You just have to trust yourself. What if I can't? Then you're human. Welcome to the club. They sat in silence. The only sound was wind moving across the flight line. You know what I keep thinking about, Aria said. That enemy radio transmission. The one where they mocked me. Little American girl plays with big machine. They thought I was a joke. And then you killed them. Yeah. And I don't feel good about that. I don't feel bad either. I just feel empty. Like I proved something, but I don't know what. Or to who. You proved it to yourself. That's who matters. Is it? Yeah, because everyone else already knew. I knew you were an incredible pilot the first time I flew with you. Bradshaw knows it now. The Marines know it. The only person who didn't know was you. And now you do. Aria felt something shift in her chest. Something loosening. Thanks, she said. For what? For being here. For not treating me different. For still being my friend, even though everyone else is acting weird. Hey, we crashed a helicopter together. That's bonding for life, she laughed. First real laugh in days. Ted. The next morning, Colonel Hayes called her to his office. She reported at 0800 sharp, saluted, stood at attention. At ease, Captain, Hayes said. Sit. She sat. Hayes looked at her for a long moment. How are you handling all this? Fine, sir. Don't lie to me. I've been doing this for 28 years. I know what fame does to soldiers. It destroys some of them, makes others insufferable. Very few handle it with grace. I'm not famous. I just did my job. The world disagrees, but that's not why I called you here. I have orders. From the Pentagon. Aria's stomach dropped. What kind of orders? Hayes slid a folder across his desk. They want you to speak at the Army Aviation Symposium next month, in front of 2,000 pilots, about Trinity Valley, about your tactics, about breaking doctrine and succeeding. Sir, I can't. There's more. They want you to testify before the Senate Armed Services Committee about combat aviation, about gender integration, about the future of attack aviation. No, it's not a request. Then it's a bad order. Hayes leaned back. You think I don't understand? I do. You want to fly. You don't want to be a spokesperson. You don't want to be a symbol. I get it. But Lawson, sometimes soldiers don't get to choose their path. Sometimes the path chooses them. With respect, sir, I didn't join the Army to give speeches. No, you joined to fly helicopters and save lives. And you did that, brilliantly. But now you have an opportunity to save even more lives, not by flying, by teaching, by showing the next generation what's possible. They don't need me for that. Yes, they do. Do you know how many young women are watching you right now? How many girls saw those headlines and thought, maybe I could do that too? You're not just a pilot anymore. You're proof, living proof that women belong in combat aviation, that we can fly, fight, and win. Aria felt trapped. What if I refuse? Then you'll be court-martialed for disobeying a direct order, and all the good you did in Trinity Valley will be overshadowed by your refusal to serve your country in a different way. That's not fair. No, it's not, but it's reality. Aria stood. May I be excused, sir? Dismissed, she saluted. Left. Walked across the base to the only place that made sense anymore. The chapel. She hadn't been to church since she was a kid, but now she needed somewhere quiet, somewhere away from everyone's expectations. She sat in the back pew, alone, silent. The door opened. Major Bradshaw walked in, sat beside her. Hayes told me, he said. Great. You're angry. I'm tired. Tired of everyone wanting something from me. Tired of being told I'm a hero when I don't feel like one. Tired of pretending I have all the answers when I barely understand the questions. Bradshaw nodded. When I was your age, I flew in Iraq. Did 8 months. Came home with a Bronze Star. Everyone called me a hero. Threw me a parade. Put my picture in the paper. And you know what? I hated it, because I knew the truth. I wasn't a hero. I was just a guy who survived when better men didn't. How'd you deal with it? I didn't. Not for years. I drank. I got angry. I pushed everyone away. And then one day, a young soldier came up to me, said I was the reason he joined the Army, said he saw my picture and thought I want to be like that guy. And I realized something. It doesn't matter if I feel like a hero. What matters is what I inspire in others. So I'm supposed to just accept it, accept being a symbol. No, you're supposed to accept that you have power now, power to change minds, power to open doors, power to make things better for the people who come after you. That's not a burden. That's a gift. Aria looked at him. I just want to fly. I know, and you will, but you'll also do more than that, because that's what great soldiers do. They serve however they're needed. 2 weeks later, Aria stood backstage at the Army Aviation Symposium. 2,000 pilots waited on the other side of the curtain. Her hands were shaking. Jace appeared beside her. You're going to be great. I'm going to vomit. That's normal. You're not helping. What do you need? A time machine. and maybe a different career. He laughed. Too late for both. But hey, remember Trinity Valley? How could I forget? You flew through hell and didn't blink. This is just talking. Talking is easy. Talking is terrifying. Then pretend you're flying. Make it about them, not you. Tell them what they need to hear. The moderator's voice came through the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, our keynote speaker, the pilot who saved 300 Marines through courage, skill, and a complete disregard for standard operating procedures. Please welcome Captain Aria Lawson, call sign Phoenix. Applause. Thunderous. Overwhelming. Go, Jace said. Show them who you are. Aria walked onto the stage. The lights were blinding. The crowd was massive. 2,000 pilots. 2,000 pairs of eyes. She reached the podium, adjusted the microphone. Thank you, she said. Her voice echoed. I'm not good at speeches. I'm better at flying. So I'm going to make this simple. Trinity Valley taught me 3 things. The room went silent. First, doctrine exists for a reason. But doctrine can't account for every situation. Sometimes you have to trust your instincts. Sometimes you have to break the rules. Not because you're reckless, but because human lives matter more than procedures. Heads nodded. Second, your crew is everything. Staff Sergeant Moreno and I flew that mission together. He trusted me when I made impossible decisions. He executed perfectly when execution meant survival. I'm only standing here because of him. Never forget your crew. Never leave them behind. More nodding. Someone started clapping. Others joined. Third, people will doubt you. They'll mock you. They'll question whether you belong. And you know what? That's their problem, not yours. Don't waste energy proving yourself to people who refuse to see your worth. Just do your job, do it well, and let your actions speak. The applause was deafening. One more thing, Aria said. The Marines in Trinity Valley didn't care that I was 5'3". They didn't care that I was a woman. They cared that I showed up when they needed help. That's all that matters. Not gender, not size, not what anyone thinks. Just whether you can do the job when it counts. And if you're here today training to fly combat missions, then I already know the answer. You can. Don't let anyone tell you different. She stepped back. The room exploded, standing ovation. Pilots cheering, some crying, some saluting. Aria walked off stage, found Jace waiting. Told you, he said. Shut up. That was incredible. It was terrifying. Same thing. They walked toward the exit. Pilot stopped her, shook her hand, asked questions, took pictures. It took 20 minutes to cross the lobby. Finally, they made it outside. Fresh air, sunlight, freedom. So, Jace said, that wasn't so bad, right? It was awful. But you did it. Yeah. And you helped people. Maybe. Definitely. You saw their faces. You gave them permission to be great. That matters. Aria leaned against the building, closed her eyes. I still hate being Phoenix. Too bad. Phoenix is who you are now. What if I just want to be Aria? Then be both. Be the pilot who saves lives and the woman who tells the truth. They're not mutually exclusive. A car pulled up. Colonel Hayes was driving. Need a lift? He asked. They got in. Good speech, Hayes said. Better than good. You just inspired 2,000 pilots to fly harder, think smarter, and care deeper. That's leadership. I'm not a leader. You are now. They drove back to Carson in silence. Aria watched the landscape pass. Mountains, trees, sky. This was her world. The world she understood. Everything else was just noise. But maybe Jace was right. Maybe she could be both Phoenix and Aria. Maybe she could fly and inspire, fight and teach, save lives in the air and change minds on the ground. Maybe that was what heroes actually did. Not what she wanted, but what she was capable of. And maybe that was enough. The day after the symposium, Aria reported for duty at 0600. She walked into the operations building expecting normal routine. Flight schedules, briefings, coffee. Instead, she found 30 reporters waiting outside with cameras and microphones. Captain Lawson, How does it feel to be a hero? Did you know you'd become famous? What message do you have for young women? Aria kept walking. Didn't answer. Didn't look at them. Just pushed through the crowd and went inside. The door closed behind her and she leaned against it. Rough morning, Jace asked. He was holding 2 coffees again. When did they get here? Oh, 500. They've been waiting. How'd they get on base? Public Affairs gave them passes. Apparently the Army wants to capitalize on positive press momentum. He handed her a coffee. Direct quote from the memo. I'm not talking to them. Yeah, I figured. Which is why Hayes wants to see you right now. Aria's stomach tightened. Great. They walked to Hayes's office. The colonel was on the phone when they arrived. He waved them in. They sat. I understand, Senator, Hayes said into the phone. Yes, she's aware. I'll let her know. Thank you, sir. He hung up, looked at Aria. That was Senator Patricia Morrison, Armed Services Committee. She wants you in Washington next week for your testimony. I thought that was optional. It was. Now it's mandatory. The committee specifically requested you, by name. Can I refuse? Only if you want to end your career. Morrison chairs the committee that approves our entire aviation budget. Telling her no would be unwise. Aria set down her coffee. Sir, I'm a pilot, not a politician. You're both now, whether you like it or not. I don't like it. Noted, but you're still going. And you're going to testify. And you're going to represent this unit, this base, and this army with professionalism and grace. Clear? Yes, sir? Good. Now about the reporters outside. I can't stop them from being here. Public road. But I can limit their access. I've assigned 2 MPs to escort you between buildings. They'll keep the media at bay. Thank you, sir. Don't thank me yet. There's more. The Secretary of Defense wants to meet you. The Chief of Staff wants to meet you. Hell, the President mentioned you in a speech yesterday. You're not just famous Lawson. You're a phenomenon. And phenomena don't get privacy. Aria felt the walls closing in. Permission to speak freely, sir. Granted. I hate this. All of it. I didn't save those Marines so I could become a celebrity. I did it because it was my job, and now everyone wants a piece of me and I just want to fly helicopters and be left alone. But nobody will let me, and I'm drowning in expectations that I never asked for and don't want. Hayes was quiet for a moment. Then he stood, walked to the window. When I was 26, he said, I flew medevac in Somalia, Mogadishu. You know that story, Black Hawk Down? Yeah, I was there. Flew 7 rescue missions in 18 hours. Brought out wounded Rangers, Delta guys, some barely alive, some already dead, but I brought them anyway because no one gets left behind. And when it was over, they gave me medals, made me talk to reporters, sent me on recruitment tours, and you know what I thought? That you wanted to be left alone. Exactly. I thought they were exploiting my trauma for propaganda, using my pain to sell the army to kids who had no idea what war actually looked like, and I resented the hell out of it. What changed? Hayes turned. I met a kid, 18 years old, joined because he saw me on a recruitment poster, became a medevac pilot, saved 12 lives in Afghanistan before he died doing the same thing I did, flying into hell to pull people out. And at his funeral, his mother told me that her son joined because of me, because I showed him that saving lives mattered more than staying safe. And I realized something. What? That my story wasn't mine anymore. It belonged to everyone I inspired. Everyone who saw what I did and thought I can do that too. You think you're just a pilot, Lawson, but you're not anymore. You're a symbol, and symbols change the world. Aria didn't respond. Dismissed, Hayes said. Both of you. They left, walked back toward the flight line. The reporters had multiplied. Now there were 50 of them. This is insane, Aria muttered. Yeah, Jace agreed. But Hayes is right. You're not just you anymore. You're Phoenix, and Phoenix belongs to everyone. I didn't ask for that. No, but you earned it. Yeah. That afternoon, Aria had her first training flight since Trinity Valley. New helicopter, same configuration, different tail number. She ran through pre-flight checks. Everything was perfect. Systems green, weapons loaded, fuel full. But when she reached for the collective, her hand hesitated. "You good?" Jace asked from the front seat. "Yeah." "You're lying again." "I'm fine." "Aria." "What? It's okay to be scared." She took a breath. "I'm not scared. I keep seeing the crash, keep feeling the impact, and I know statistically that won't happen again. But my body doesn't believe that. My body thinks every flight ends with fire and metal and pain. That's normal. PTSD does that. I don't have PTSD. How do you know? Because I'm fine." "You're not fine. You're functional. That's different." Aria started the engines. The Apache hummed to life. "We flying or having therapy?" "Both, apparently." She pulled collective. The helicopter lifted off. Smooth. Clean. Perfect. They flew north, toward the training range. Standard weapons qualification. Shoot targets. Return to base. Simple. But when they approached the valley, a different valley, a training valley, Aria's heart rate spiked. Her hands started shaking. "Aria," Jace said, "you're drifting left." She corrected. "I know." "You okay?" I said I'm fine. They reached the range, started the weapons run. Aria lined up on the first target, a mock vehicle, stationary, easy shot. She squeezed the trigger, the chain gun fired, rounds went wide, missed completely. "What the hell?" Jace said. "You never miss." "I'm just rusty." "Try again." She lined up on the second target, squeezed, missed again. "Aria, talk to me." "I'm fine." "You're not. You're shaking. I can feel it in the controls." She pulled back, climbed to altitude. "I need a minute." "Take 5. They circled. Aria closed her eyes, took slow breaths. In, out, in, out. "You're having a panic attack," Jace said quietly. "No, I'm not." "Yes, you are, and that's okay. It happens. But we need to land. Right now." "I can do this." "I know you can. But not today. Today we land. Regroup. Try again tomorrow." Aria wanted to argue, wanted to prove she was fine. But her hands wouldn't stop shaking and her chest felt like someone was sitting on it. "Okay," she whispered. They returned to base, landed, shut down. Aria sat in the cockpit for 10 minutes after the engines died. Jace climbed down, waited, didn't say anything. Finally, Aria unbuckled, climbed out, sat on the tarmac with her back against the landing gear. Jace sat beside her. "I failed," she said. "No, you didn't. I couldn't shoot, couldn't focus, couldn't do my job. You recognized a problem and made a safe decision. That's not failure, that's intelligence. I'm supposed to be Phoenix, the pilot who saves everyone, the one who never breaks. And I just broke. No, you're human. Phoenix was always human. She just forgot that for a while." Aria leaned her head back against the metal. "What if I can't fly anymore? Then we'll deal with it. But I don't think that's true. I think you can fly. You just need time. Your body needs to remember that flying doesn't always end with crashing. How long will that take? However long it takes. There's no timeline for healing." They sat in silence. The sun was setting. The base was getting quiet. "I should have died in Trinity Valley," Aria said. "But you didn't." "Why not?" "Why did I survive when so many better pilots have died?" "Because you're an exceptional pilot who made exceptional decisions. And because the universe needs you here. Teaching, inspiring, saving more lives." "I don't feel exceptional. I feel broken." "Then be broken. Be broken and human and scared. And then get back up and fly anyway. That's what courage actually is. Not the absence of fear. Just flying anyway." The next morning, Captain Derek Hutchins appeared at Aria's barracks door. She opened it, saw him standing there, almost closed it again. "Wait," he said, "please." What do you want? To apologize. Really apologize. Not the half-assed thing I said at the hospital. A real apology. Fine. Apology accepted. Goodbye. Can I come in? No. Can we talk somewhere? We're talking now. Hutchins looked down. I was wrong about you. Completely wrong. I said terrible things. Did terrible things. Made your life hell for 8 months. And I did it because I was threatened. Threatened by what? By you. By how good you are. By the fact that a woman half my size could fly circles around me. It destroyed my ego. So I tried to destroy you. And I'm sorry. That's not who I want to be. Aria crossed her arms. Why should I believe you? Because I watched the Trinity Valley footage, the cockpit camera. Command showed it to all the pilots. And I saw what you did. Saw how you flew. Saw the decisions you made. And I realized something. What? That I would have failed. I would have followed doctrine. Stayed at range, played it safe, and all those Marines would be dead. But you didn't fail. You broke every rule and saved everyone. And that takes a kind of courage I don't have. Aria studied his face. He looked sincere, looked ashamed. Apology accepted, she said. But that doesn't mean we're friends. I know. I just needed you to hear it. Needed you to know that I respect you, and that if you ever need anything, I'm here. He left. Aria closed the door, leaned against it. Progress. Not forgiveness, but progress. 3 days later, Aria flew again. Different valley. Same training range. Same targets. This time her hands didn't shake. This time she hit every target. Perfect shots. Perfect flight. That's my girl, Jay said. Phoenix is back. I never left. I was just resting. They completed the qualification, returned to base. Aria felt something shift in her chest. Something settling back into place. She could do this. She could fly. She could be Phoenix and Aria at the same time. Maybe Hayes was right. Maybe being a symbol wasn't a burden. Maybe it was a responsibility, a chance to open doors for people who came after her. She didn't have to like it. She just had to do it. Washington, D.C. was exactly as terrible as Aria expected. She arrived on a Monday. The hearing was Tuesday. She had 1 day to prepare. Colonel Hayes had flown with her. So had Jace. Moral support. You'll do fine, Hayes said in the hotel lobby. I feel like I'm going to vomit. That's normal. Everyone vomits before congressional testimony. That's not reassuring. It's not supposed to be reassuring. It's supposed to be honest. They went to dinner. Some fancy restaurant Aria couldn't pronounce. She ordered a salad. Didn't eat it. Just pushed lettuce around her plate. Talk to me, Jay said. About what? About why you're terrified. I'm not terrified. Liar. Aria set down her fork. I'm scared I'll say the wrong thing. Scared I'll embarrass the army. Scared I'll let down all the women who see me as some kind of hero. Scared I'm not who everyone thinks I am. Who do they think you are? Phoenix. The fearless pilot. The one who never breaks. The symbol. And who are you? Aria. The girl who got lucky. The one who's barely holding it together. The one who had a panic attack 3 days ago. Jace reached across the table, took her hand. You're both. You're Aria and Phoenix. You're human and exceptional, scared and brave, broken and whole. You're all of it. And that's what makes you real. That's what makes you someone worth following. What if I fail tomorrow? Then you fail, and you get back up, and you try again. That's what Phoenix does. She rises. The Senate hearing room was massive. Cameras everywhere. Senators sitting on an elevated platform. Aria felt very small. She sat at the witness table, microphone in front of her, name placard, glass of water she didn't trust herself to drink without spilling. Senator Morrison banged the gavel. This hearing of the Armed Services Committee is now in session. We're here today to discuss combat aviation capabilities and the role of women in military aviation. Our witness is Captain Aria Lawson, call sign Phoenix, whose recent actions in Trinity Valley have garnered national attention. Captain Lawson, thank you for being here. Thank you, Senator. Let me start with a simple question. Why did you become a pilot? Aria thought about lying, thought about giving some patriotic answer they wanted to hear, but Jace's words echoed in her head. Be real. I became a pilot because I wanted to matter. I grew up poor, single mom, no opportunities, no future. The Army gave me a chance. Flight school gave me purpose, and combat aviation gave me a way to save lives. That's why I fly, not for glory, not for recognition, just to matter. Morrison nodded. And Trinity Valley, walk us through your decision-making process. Aria took a breath. 300 Marines were dying. Every other asset was out of range. I was their only chance. Standard doctrine said stay at range, fire missiles from safety. But the enemy knew doctrine. They'd positioned anti-aircraft specifically for that approach. So I had two choices. Follow the rules and watch Marines die, or break the rules and give them a chance. I broke the rules. And you survived. Barely. We crashed, lost the helicopter, but the Marines lived. All of them. So yeah, I'd say it was worth it. Senator James Bradford leaned forward. He was old, conservative, known for opposing women in combat. Captain Lawson, he said, some would argue that your decision was reckless, that you endangered yourself and your crew for what amounts to a publicity stunt. The room went silent. Aria felt anger rising. She pushed it down, kept her voice level. Senator, with respect, nothing about Trinity Valley was a publicity stunt. It was 300 American Marines facing death. It was two pilots making impossible decisions under fire. It was combat. Real combat. The kind where people die if you hesitate. I didn't fly into that valley for publicity. I flew because it was my job, because those Marines deserved a chance, and because if I hadn't tried, I would have spent the rest of my life knowing I let them die to stay safe. Bradford didn't blink. But you broke protocol, violated tactical doctrine, put your crew at risk. Yes, sir, I did all of those things, and I'd do them again, because doctrine is written for general situations. Trinity Valley wasn't general. It was specific. It was desperate. And it required a pilot willing to think beyond the manual. That's what combat aviation is. Making decisions in seconds that academics debate for years. And sometimes you're wrong and you die. But sometimes you're right and 300 people go home to their families. Morrison jumped in. Captain, there's been significant debate about women in combat roles, particularly combat aviation. What's your response to critics who say women aren't physically or mentally capable of handling the stress? Aria almost laughed. Senator, I'm 5'3" and I weigh 120 pounds. By every physical metric, I shouldn't be able to fly an Apache, and yet I do. Because flying isn't about size or strength. It's about skill, judgment, courage, and those qualities don't have a gender. I've flown with incredible male pilots. I've flown with incredible female pilots. The only difference between them is what bathroom they use. In the air, we're all just pilots. And the enemy doesn't care whether you're a man or a woman. They just care whether you can kill them first. I can. That's all that matters. Someone in the gallery started clapping. Then more people. Then the whole room. Morrison banged the gavel. Order, order, please. The clapping stopped, but the energy remained. Morrison smiled. Captain Lawson, thank you for your testimony. You've given this committee much to consider. You're dismissed. Aria stood, saluted, walked out. Hayes and Jace were waiting in the hallway. Holy shit, Jace said. You destroyed them. I just answered questions. No. You made them look stupid for asking. That Bradford guy. His face went purple. Hayes shook his head. You just became even more famous. That clip's going to be everywhere. Great. No, really great. You just changed the conversation about women in combat. Single-handedly. That's huge. They walked out of the Capitol building. Reporters mobbed them, cameras flashing, questions shouting. Captain Lawson, how does it feel to stand up to Senator Bradford? Will you run for office? What's next for Phoenix? Aria kept walking, didn't answer, got in the car. They drove back to the hotel in silence. That night, Aria sat on the hotel balcony, alone, looking at the city lights. Her phone buzzed, text message from an unknown number. Captain Lawson, this is Captain Evan Cole, the Marine you saved in Trinity Valley. Just watched your testimony. You're still saving lives, just in a different way. Thank you. For everything. Aria stared at the message. Something broke inside her chest. Not breaking bad, breaking open. She'd spent weeks resenting Phoenix, resenting the fame and attention and expectations, but Cole was right. She was still saving lives, just differently. By testifying, she'd opened doors for other women. By speaking truth, she'd changed minds. By being real, she'd given people permission to be real too. Maybe that was what heroes actually did. Not just fight, but inspire others to fight, to fly, to matter. The door opened. Jace stepped out. You okay? He asked. Yeah, actually, I think I am. Good, because your testimony is viral. 14 million views in 6 hours. You're trending worldwide. Phoenix Destroys Senator is the #1 hashtag. Aria laughed. Of course it is. You're changing the world, Aria, whether you like it or not. I'm starting to like it. Maybe. A little. That's growth. They stood in silence, watching the city. What happens now? Aria asked. You go back to flying. You train new pilots. You give speeches when you have to. You be Phoenix when the world needs her. And you be Aria when you need to be. You do both. That sounds exhausting. It is, but it's also worth it. Aria nodded. Yeah, I think it is. Her phone buzzed again. This time a text from Hayes. SecDef wants to meet you tomorrow. 0900. Don't be late, and congratulations. You just became the face of Army Aviation. Aria showed Jace the message. He whistled. Secretary of Defense. That's a big deal. Everything's a big deal now. You ready for it? No, but I'll do it anyway. That's very Phoenix of you. Shut up. They laughed. The first real laughter in weeks. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new expectations, new battles to fight. But tonight, Aria felt something she hadn't felt since Trinity Valley. Peace. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was living. She was growing. She was becoming the person everyone thought she already was. And maybe that was enough. Orchestrated, dialogue-driven narrative continuation with emotional depth and fast pacing. The Secretary of Defense's office was smaller than Aria expected. No grand mahogany desk, no flags, just a woman in her 50s sitting at a conference table with reading glasses perched on her nose. Captain Lawson, Secretary Elena Richardson said. Sit, please. Aria sat. Hayes had briefed her on the drive over. Richardson was a former Air Force general. 3 combat deployments. 0 tolerance for politics. Respected by everyone. Coffee? Richardson asked. No, thank you, ma'am. Smart. This coffee's terrible. Richardson closed the folder she'd been reading. I watched your testimony yesterday. Impressive. You made Bradford look like an idiot. I didn't mean to. Yes, you did. And he deserved it. He's been blocking gender integration for years. Yesterday, you destroyed his arguments in under 5 minutes. Well done. Thank you, ma'am. Richardson leaned back. How are you handling all this, the fame, the pressure, the constant spotlight? Honestly, always. I hate it, I just want to fly, but everyone wants something else. Speeches, interviews, testimonies, and I understand why it matters. I do, but it's exhausting. Good. Ma'am, if you said you loved it, I'd be worried. Fame destroys most soldiers, makes them arrogant, makes them forget why they serve. But you're still focused on the mission. That's rare. Richardson stood, walked to the window. I have a proposal. I want you to run a new program. Advanced Combat Aviation Training. Specifically focused on unconventional tactics. Teaching pilots to think beyond doctrine, to make Trinity Valley decisions when Trinity Valley situations arise. Aria's heart jumped. You want me to train pilots? The best pilots. The ones who'll shape the next generation of combat aviation. You'll have full authority. Choose your curriculum. Choose your methods. The only requirement is that you teach them what you know. How to fly when flying should be impossible. How to win when winning should be impossible. How to save lives when everyone else says it can't be done. Ma'am, I'm not qualified to. You're the most qualified person in the Army. You proved that in Trinity Valley. And you proved it again yesterday when you told a room full of senators that combat aviation is about courage, not gender. I need that clarity, that honesty, that fearlessness. Aria was quiet for a moment. When would this start? 6 months. You'll need time to recover, time to process Trinity Valley, time to prepare. But when you're ready, I want you leading this program, building it from scratch, making it the standard for combat aviation training. Can I think about it? You have 24 hours. After that, I need an answer. That evening, Aria and Jace sat in a bar near the hotel, some dive place with cheap beer and loud music, exactly what they needed. So, Jace said, SecDef wants you to revolutionize combat aviation training. Apparently. That's huge. That's terrifying. Why? Because I'm 29 years old. I've been flying combat for 3 years, and they want me to teach pilots who've been doing this longer than I've been alive. Those pilots didn't save 300 Marines. You did. Experience doesn't equal excellence. You proved that. Aria drank her beer. What if I fail? What if I build this program and it's terrible and pilots die because I taught them wrong? Then you'll learn from it, adjust, improve. That's what leaders do. They don't succeed perfectly the first time. They iterate, they adapt, they grow. You make it sound easy. It's not easy, but it's simple. You know how to fly. You know how to make impossible decisions. Now you teach others to do the same. That's not complicated. It's just hard. A woman approached their table, mid-30s, civilian clothes, confident walk. Captain Lawson, she said. Yeah. I'm Rachel Chen. I'm a reporter with the Washington Post. Can I buy you a drink? No. 5 minutes of your time? No. I'm writing a story about women in combat aviation. Your perspective would... Lady, Jace interrupted. She said no. That means no. Now walk away before I make you walk away. Chen held up her hands. Okay, I'm going. But Captain Lawson, your story matters. Whether you tell it or not, someone's going to tell it. Might as well be you. She left. Aria finished her beer. That's going to keep happening, isn't it? Yep. Forever. Probably. Great. They ordered another round. Sat in silence. The bar was filling up with people. None of them recognized Aria. It was nice. Being anonymous. Being normal. Can I ask you something, Jace said. Sure. Do you regret it, Trinity Valley? Everything that came after? Aria thought about it, really thought about it. No, I regret the attention, the fame, the pressure, but I don't regret saving those Marines. I'd do it again, exactly the same way. Even knowing what it would cost you. Yeah, even knowing. Jace smiled. That's why you're Phoenix. Not because you flew into a valley, but because you'd do it again. That's who you are. Who I am is a 29-year-old woman who has no idea what she's doing. Welcome to adulthood. None of us know what we're doing. We're all just making it up as we go. The next morning, Aria called Richardson's office. I'll do it, she said. The training program. I'll do it. Good. Report to Fort Rucker in 6 months. We'll have everything ready. Aria hung up, looked at Jace. I just agreed to change Army aviation. Yeah, you did. What the hell was I thinking? You were thinking about all the pilots who'll learn from you. All the lives they'll save because you taught them. You were thinking about making a difference that lasts beyond one mission. Or, I was thinking I'm insane. That too. They flew back to Fort Carson that afternoon. When they landed, there was a formation waiting. The entire aviation battalion, 200 pilots and crew, standing at attention. Colonel Hayes stood in front. "Battalion attention," he called. They snapped to attention. Hayes walked to Aria. "Captain Lawson, on behalf of the 4th Aviation Battalion, I want to thank you for your service, your courage, and your sacrifice. You've brought honor to this unit. You've inspired this nation, and you've proven that excellence has no gender, no size, no limit. You are what we all aspire to be, a warrior, a leader, a hero." He saluted. She returned it. Then the battalion erupted, cheering, applauding, shouting her name. Aria felt tears coming. She blinked them back, failed. Let them come. These were her people, her unit, her family, and they were proud of her. That mattered more than any medal. The next 3 months passed quickly. Aria flew missions, trained new pilots, gave speeches when she had to, and slowly, piece by piece, she built the curriculum for her new program. Advanced Combat Aviation. That's what they were calling it. ACA. She hated acronyms, but that's what the Army loved. She worked with Jace, with Hayes, with combat veterans from every branch, interviewed Marines from Trinity Valley, asked what they needed from air support, what worked, what didn't, what saved lives. The program took shape, not just technical flying, but decision-making under pressure, thinking beyond doctrine, understanding when to break rules and when to follow them, reading terrain, reading enemy tactics, reading your own limitations. "You're building something special," Hayes said one afternoon. They were reviewing lesson plans in his office. "I'm building something crazy. Half these scenarios I'm designing, they'll never happen in real life." Trinity Valley was never supposed to happen in real life, and yet it did. That's why you prepare for the impossible, because the impossible becomes reality faster than anyone expects. Aria highlighted a section of the document. What about the pilots who can't handle it, who freeze up, who break? Then they wash out. Better to discover that in training than in combat. You're not here to graduate everyone. You're here to graduate the best. The ones who can handle what you handled. The ones who can make your decisions. That's a lot of pressure. That's leadership. Get used to it. One evening, Aria got a phone call. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. "Hello." "Captain Lawson, this is Sergeant First Class Maria Rodriguez. I'm with the 101st Airborne. I wanted to thank you." "For what?" "For existing. For flying. For showing my daughter that women can do anything. She's 8 years old. She saw you on the news, saw your testimony. And now she wants to be a pilot because of you. So thank you. You changed her life." Aria didn't know what to say. "I'm just a pilot." "No, ma'am, you're proof. Proof that girls like my daughter can dream bigger, can be more, can matter. That's not just a pilot, that's everything." They talked for 20 minutes, about flying, about raising daughters, about breaking barriers. When they hung up, Aria sat in her barracks room staring at her phone. She'd changed a little girl's life without even knowing her name. That was power, real power, the kind that lasted. 2 weeks before she was supposed to report to Fort Rucker, Aria got called back to Trinity Valley. The Marines were holding a memorial service for the 4 Marines who'd died in the ambush. They wanted Aria there. She flew commercial, arrived at Camp Pendleton on a Thursday. Captain Cole met her at the gate. "Captain Lawson," he said, "thank you for coming." "Of course. I owe them that much." They drove to the memorial site, a small plaza with 4 stone markers, names engraved, dates, ranks. Private First Class Timothy Johnson, 22. Lance Corporal Marcus Williams, 20. Corporal Sarah Kim, 24. Sergeant David Patterson, 27. 4 lives, 4 families, 4 people who didn't make it home. "We wanted you here," Cole said quietly, "because you saved everyone else. And we thought they'd want you to know that their sacrifice mattered, that because they held that position, because they bought us time, the rest of us survived." Aria knelt in front of the markers, touched each name. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm sorry I couldn't save you too." Cole knelt beside her. "You gave them a chance. That's all anyone can do. You gave all of us a chance. Some of us made it, some didn't, but you tried. That's what matters. The memorial service started an hour later. 300 Marines in dress blues, families in the front row, chaplain giving prayers, commanders giving speeches. Then Cole called Aria to the podium. She hadn't prepared anything, didn't know what to say, just walked up there and spoke from her heart. I didn't know these 4 Marines, never met them, never heard their voices, but I carry them with me. Every flight, every mission, every decision, because they remind me what we're fighting for. Not glory, not medals, not recognition, but each other. We fight so others can go home, so families stay whole, so kids get to grow up with parents. That's the mission. That's always the mission. And these 4 Marines understood that. They held their position knowing it might cost their lives, but they did it anyway, because that's what Marines do. That's what warriors do. They sacrifice so others don't have to. And I promise you this, every pilot I train, every lesson I teach, every tactic I pass on, it'll be in honor of them, in honor of their courage, their sacrifice, their love for the people beside them. They didn't die for nothing. They died so 300 others could live. That's not tragedy. That's heroism. And I'll spend the rest of my career making sure people remember that. She stepped down. The families approached, thanked her, hugged her, cried with her. Johnson's mother held Aria's hands. My son died a hero because of you, because you tried. Thank you for trying. Aria broke, completely broke, sobbed in this woman's arms while 300 Marines stood in formation watching. But it was okay, because grief was part of this. Loss was part of this. And honoring the dead meant feeling their absence. That night, the Marines threw a celebration, not for the memorial, but for life, for survival, for the 300 who made it home. They rented out a bar in San Diego. Everyone came, even the wounded, even the ones still recovering. Aria walked in and the place erupted. Marines surrounded her, shaking hands, taking pictures, telling stories about Trinity Valley. You saved my life, one Marine said. I was pinned down, out of ammo, bleeding. Then I heard your chain gun, saw you flying between the trees, and I thought, we're gonna make it. You gave us hope. Another Marine, younger, barely old enough to drink, grabbed her arm. Ma'am, I joined the Marines because of you. Saw your testimony, saw what you did, and I thought, that's what service looks like. So thank you for showing me the way. Gunny Shaw appeared through the crowd, the big sergeant who'd fought beside Cole. Phoenix, he said. Just that, just her call sign. Gunny. You doing okay? Yeah, you. Better now that you're here. The guys wanted to thank you proper, not with medals or ceremonies, but with this, with family, because that's what you are now. Family. You bled for us, fought for us, crashed for us. That makes you a Marine in everything but name. He handed her a patch. Marine Corps emblem with phoenix wings added, custom made, unauthorized. Perfect. We had these made, Shaw said. 300 of them. One for everyone in that valley. So we never forget. And so you never forget. You're one of us now. Aria pinned it to her jacket. Thank you, Gunny. This means everything. You mean everything. Don't forget that. The party lasted until 0300. Aria talked to every Marine who wanted to talk, heard every story, saw every scar, shared every memory. When it finally ended, she and Cole stood outside watching the sun rise over the Pacific. You changed their lives, Cole said. Mine too. Before Trinity Valley, I thought I was a good officer, competent, reliable. But watching you, seeing the decisions you made, that taught me what leadership actually looks like. Not following rules, but knowing when to break them. Not playing it safe, but taking calculated risks. You made me a better Marine. You were already a good Marine. Maybe. But you made me great. And that matters. They watched the sun climb higher. A new day. New possibilities. New chances to matter. "What's next for you?" Aria asked. "Promotion to major. New unit. Probably another deployment. And you, training program. Teaching pilots. Passing on what I learned." "Those pilots are lucky. You're going to save a lot of lives, not just directly, but through every pilot you teach, every mission they fly, every decision they make better because of you. That's a legacy. That's terrifying. That's both." Aria reported to Fort Rucker on a Monday morning in October. The training facility was new, state-of-the-art, built specifically for her program. Secretary Richardson was there to meet her. "Welcome to ACA," Richardson said. "Your students arrive in 2 weeks. 30 pilots, hand-picked, best of the best. They're all volunteers, all combat veterans, all eager to learn from Phoenix." "No pressure." "Massive pressure, but you'll handle it." They toured the facility, classrooms, simulators, briefing rooms, and hangars. 20 Apache helicopters, all new, all hers to train with. "This is incredible," Aria said. "This is what you earned. Trinity Valley proved that unconventional tactics save lives. Now you teach others how to think unconventionally, how to be creative, how to win when doctrine says you should lose." "What if I can't? What if I was just lucky and I don't actually know how to teach this?" Richardson stopped, looked at her directly. "Captain Lawson, I'm going to tell you something my first commander told me. The difference between good leaders and great leaders isn't knowledge. It's honesty. Good leaders pretend they have all the answers. Great leaders admit when they don't and figure it out anyway. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have bad days. You're going to doubt yourself. But as long as you stay honest, stay humble, and stay focused on the mission, you'll succeed. Your students don't need perfection. They need authenticity. Give them that, and they'll follow you anywhere." 2 weeks later, 30 pilots stood in formation, waiting for Aria to address them. She looked at them. Men and women, young and old, black, white, Hispanic, Asian. Every background, every story. But all with one thing in common. They wanted to be better. "Welcome to Advanced Combat Aviation," Aria said. "I'm Captain Aria Lawson. Call sign Phoenix. I'm 29 years old. I've been flying combat for 3 years. I crashed a helicopter 6 months ago. I had a panic attack 3 months ago. I still have nightmares about Trinity Valley, and I'm going to teach you how to fly." She paused. Let that sink in. "I'm not here to pretend I'm perfect. I'm not here to act like I have all the answers. I'm here because I made decisions that saved lives, and I want to teach you how to make those decisions too. How to read situations, how to assess risk, how to know when doctrine helps and when it hurts, how to be creative under pressure, how to fly when flying should be impossible." She walked along the formation, made eye contact with each pilot. "This program will break some of you, not physically, mentally. You're going to face scenarios that have no good answers. You're going to make decisions that haunt you. You're going to fail. And that's okay. Because failure in training means learning. Failure in combat means death. I'd rather you fail here where we can analyze it, learn from it, and improve." She stopped in the center. "Questions?" A woman raised her hand. "Captain Lisa Chang, 32, 4 combat deployments. Ma'am, is it true you flew tree level through Trinity Valley?" "Yes." "That's insane." "Yes, it was also necessary. The enemy expected me to follow doctrine. Stay high, stay safe. So I did the opposite. Went low, went aggressive, went where they didn't expect. And because of that, I survived, and so did 300 Marines. That's what I'm teaching you, how to be unexpected, how to be creative, how to make the enemy react to you instead of reacting to them." Another hand. Lieutenant Marcus Webb, 26, Apache pilot, cocky smile. "Ma'am, with respect, Trinity Valley worked because you got lucky. How do you teach luck?" Aria smiled. "You don't. You teach preparation. You teach awareness. You teach decision-making. And when luck happens, you're ready to exploit it. I didn't get lucky in Trinity Valley. I was prepared. I'd studied that terrain, understood those tactics, recognized the pattern, and when the moment came, I knew exactly what to do. That's not luck. That's mastery, and that's what you're going to learn. Webb nodded, respect in his eyes now. All right, Aria said. Classes start tomorrow, 0600. Don't be late. Dismissed. The pilots filed out. Jace appeared beside her. He'd requested transfer to be her deputy instructor. That was good, he said. That was terrifying. Same thing. Why do you keep saying that? Because it's true. The things worth doing are always terrifying. That's how you know they matter. The first week was brutal. Aria pushed her students hard. Simulator scenarios with no good options. Tactical problems with multiple right answers. Decision-making under extreme pressure. Some students excelled. Some struggled. Some broke. Lieutenant Webb crashed in the simulator 5 times in 3 days. After the 5th crash, he stayed in the sim room for an hour. Just sitting there. When he finally came out, Aria was waiting. I can't do this, he said. I thought I was good, but I'm not. I'm nowhere close to your level. You're not supposed to be at my level. You're supposed to be learning how to get there. I keep making the wrong choices. No. You keep making different choices. There's no wrong choice if you can justify it. Can you justify your decisions? Sometimes. Sometimes I just panic and react. Then we work on that. We slow down the scenario, break it into pieces, teach you to recognize patterns, build your instincts. You're not bad, Webb, you're inexperienced. That's fixable. You really think so? I know so. I've seen your flight record. You're an exceptional pilot. You just need to learn how to think like an exceptional tactician. That takes time. So give yourself time. Give yourself grace. And keep trying. Webb straightened. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just get better. He left. Jace appeared. You're good at this, he said. At what? Teaching. Leading. You made that kid go from crushed to motivated in 2 minutes. I just told him the truth. That's what good teachers do. They tell the truth when everyone else tells lies. You're fine. Don't worry. Just try harder. Those are lies. You told him he's inexperienced but fixable. That's truth. That's useful. That's what they need. By week 4, something shifted. The students stopped seeing Aria as Phoenix the legend. They started seeing her as Captain Lawson the instructor. And that made all the difference. They asked real questions, admitted real struggles, opened up about fears and doubts. Captain Chang pulled Aria aside after class one day. Ma'am, can I ask you something personal? Sure. How do you deal with the pressure? Being Phoenix, being famous, being the standard everyone compares themselves to. Honestly, I don't deal with it well. I resent it most days. Wish it would go away. But I'm learning that pressure can be useful. It pushes me to be better, to never settle, to always improve. Because if I'm the standard, then I better make sure that standard is worth reaching for. Doesn't that exhaust you? Every single day. But exhaustion is part of growth. You can't become better without pushing past comfort. And I'm still growing, still learning, still figuring this out. That helps. Knowing you're still figuring it out makes you more human, more reachable. Good. Because I am human. I'm just a human who refuses to quit. That's the only difference between me and everyone else. Not talent, not luck, just stubbornness. Chang smiled. I can work with stubborn. Then you're going to do just fine. The final test came in week 12. A live fire exercise. Real helicopters. Real weapons. Real terrain. The scenario was simple. Rescue a pinned-down unit from a hostile valley. Aria would play enemy command. The students would have to defeat her tactics to succeed. They launched at dawn. 6 Apaches. 30 pilots rotating through missions. Aria watched from a command helicopter. The first team followed doctrine. Stayed at range. Fired from safety. Her simulated anti-aircraft took them out in 90 seconds. The second team tried aggressive close air support. She trapped them with converging fire. They survived, but couldn't complete the mission. The third team hesitated. couldn't decide on an approach. Time ran out. Mission failed. Then Webb's team launched. He'd learned, adapted, grown. He came in low, unexpected angle, used terrain masking like Aria taught them, split his formation, drew her fire in one direction while his wingman attacked from another, coordinated, creative. Brilliant. He completed the mission in 4 minutes with 0 casualties. When they landed, Webb jumped out of his helicopter, grinning. "Did we pass?" he asked. "You destroyed me," Aria said. "That was exceptional flying. You thought 3 moves ahead, used deception, exploited my assumptions. That's exactly what I wanted to see. I learned from the best." "No, you learned from someone who made mistakes and lived long enough to teach you how not to make them. Big difference." The other teams landed. Debriefing took 2 hours. Aria broke down every decision, every success, every failure, teaching not just what happened, but why. "The goal isn't perfection," she told them. "It's adaptation. The enemy adapts. You adapt faster. They surprise you. You surprise them harder. Combat is a conversation. And the side that communicates most creatively wins. Remember that. In every mission, every decision, every flight. Be unexpected. Be creative. Be impossible to predict. That's how you survive. That's how you win. That's how you save lives." Graduation came on a Friday in December. All 30 students passed. All of them changed. Better pilots, better tacticians, better warriors. Secretary Richardson attended. So did Colonel Hayes. So did Captain Cole and Gunny Shaw and half the Marines from Trinity Valley. Aria stood at the podium looking at her students. 3 months ago, you arrived here as good pilots. Today, you leave as exceptional ones. Not because of me, but because of you. Because you pushed past comfort, past fear, past doubt. You failed and learned, struggled and grew, broke and rebuilt. That's what makes you exceptional. Not your skills, your resilience. She paused. You're going to deploy. You're going to face impossible situations. And when you do, I want you to remember something. Doctrine is a tool, not a cage. Use it when it helps. Abandon it when it doesn't. Trust your training. Trust your crew. Trust yourself. And most importantly, remember why you fly. Not for glory. Not for recognition. But for the people on the ground who need you. The Marines. The soldiers. The people counting on you to show up when everyone else is too far away or too scared. You're their last hope. Their only chance. Be worth that trust. The student stood, saluted, held it. Aria returned it. You're dismissed. Go save lives. They erupted, cheering, celebrating, surrounding her, thanking her. One by one they shook her hand. Some hugged her, some cried. All of them changed by what they'd learned. When the ceremony ended, Richardson approached. You did it, she said. You built something remarkable. These pilots are going to change combat aviation, and it's because of you. It's because they wanted to learn. No, it's because you taught them the right things. Not just how to fly, but how to think, how to adapt, how to be creative under pressure. That's revolutionary. That's going to save thousands of lives over the next decade. I hope so. I know so. That night, Aria sat alone in her office. The building was empty. Everyone had gone to celebrate. But she needed quiet, needed time to process. She'd done it, built a program, trained pilots, changed lives. But more than that, she'd found purpose beyond Trinity Valley, found a way to matter that didn't require crashing helicopters or dodging missiles. Teaching was its own kind of combat, fighting ignorance, fighting fear, fighting the instinct to play it safe. And she was good at it. Her phone buzzed. Text from Jace. You coming to the party? Everyone's asking for you. She typed back. 5 minutes. But she sat there for 10, just breathing, just being. Phoenix had risen, not just once in Trinity Valley, but every day since, every speech, every testimony, every class, every student. Rising wasn't a single moment. It was a choice to keep growing, keep fighting, keep mattering. And Aria Lawson, call sign Phoenix, chose to rise every single day. Aria walked into the party 20 minutes later. The bar was packed with her students' colleagues and the Marines who'd traveled from California just to see her succeed. Webb spotted her first. "Phoenix is here." The room erupted. Someone handed her a beer. Someone else started a toast. But before anyone could finish, Captain Chang stepped forward. "Ma'am, we got you something, all of us, together." She handed Aria a wooden plaque, engraved names, all 30 students. Below them a quote. "She taught us not just to fly, but to think, not just to survive, but to save, not just to follow doctrine, but to write our own. Captain Aria Lawson Phoenix, the pilot who changed everything." Aria's throat tightened. "You guys didn't have to—" "Yes, we did," Webb interrupted. "3 months ago, I thought I was good. You showed me I was mediocre. Then you showed me how to be great. Every one of us in this room is a better pilot because of you. That deserves more than a plaque, but it's a start." They raised their glasses, shouted her call sign. "Phoenix, Phoenix, Phoenix." Aria drank, laughed, let herself feel proud for the first time in months. Jace appeared beside her an hour later. "You good?" "Yeah, actually I think I am." "You built something amazing, you know that, right?" "I built something scary. 30 pilots who think like I do, that's dangerous. That's exactly what the world needs." They stepped outside. The night air was cold, clear, stars everywhere. "What's next for you?" Jace asked. "More classes, more students. Secretary Richardson wants to expand the program. Train 100 pilots a year, maybe more." "That's huge." "That's impossible. I can barely handle 30. "Then build a team. Train instructors. Scale up. You don't have to do this alone." Aria looked at him. "You thinking about staying?" "I'm thinking about wherever you are is where I belong. You made me a better pilot, better person, better man. I'm not walking away from that. Even if it means teaching instead of flying combat. Teaching is combat, just a different kind. And honestly, after everything we've been through, this feels more important. One mission saves lives today. Training saves lives for decades." Aria smiled. "When'd you get so philosophical?" "When I crashed a helicopter with the smartest pilot I know and realized life's too short for anything except what matters." 6 months later, Aria stood in front of 60 students. Second class, double the size, double the pressure. "Welcome to Advanced Combat Aviation," she said. "I'm Captain Lawson. Some of you know me as Phoenix, that's fine. But in this program, I'm just your instructor. And you're just students trying to get better. No legends here, no heroes. Just pilots learning to think beyond what they were taught." A hand shot up. Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell, 24, fresh from flight school, eager. "Ma'am, is it true you dodged 3 surface-to-air missiles in Trinity Valley?" "2, and I didn't dodge them. I used terrain to break their lock." "That's not heroism. That's understanding how missiles track targets and exploiting their limitations, which is exactly what you're going to learn here." Another hand. Captain James Rodriguez, 35, veteran, skeptical. "Ma'am, with respect, Trinity Valley was one mission. How do we know your tactics work consistently?" Aria smiled. "You don't. That's why you're here, to test them, to break them, to improve them." "I don't have all the answers, Rodriguez. I have some answers that worked once. Your job is to figure out if they work twice. If they don't, we adapt. That's how knowledge grows. Through challenge, not blind acceptance." Rodriguez nodded. Respect earned. The class began. Harder scenarios than the first class. More complex problems. Higher standards. Because now Aria knew what worked. Knew how to push students past their limits without breaking them. Webb had stayed on as assistant instructor. So had Chang. Both of them deployed once returned with stories about using her tactics in real combat. Both successful, both alive, both proof that what she taught actually saved lives. All right, Aria said. First scenario. You're providing close air support. Friendly unit pinned down. Multiple hostiles. But there's a school nearby. Civilians inside. How do you engage without risking collateral damage? Silence. Students thinking. Processing. Mitchell raised her hand. We don't. We call in ground forces instead. Ground forces are 20 minutes out. Friendlies will be dead in 5. Try again. Then we engage from maximum range. Minimize blast radius. That reduces accuracy. You might miss. Might hit the school. Might kill friendlies. Anyone else? Rodriguez spoke up. We use the chain gun instead of missiles. More precise. Less collateral risk. Better. But what if the enemy's using the school as cover? What if they're shooting from the windows? Then we're screwed. There's no good answer. Exactly. There's no good answer. So what do you do? The room was silent. You make the least bad choice, Aria said. You assess risk. You weigh outcomes. You calculate probabilities. And you decide. Maybe you engage knowing you might hit civilians. Maybe you don't engage knowing friendlies will die. Either choice haunts you, but you still have to choose. That's command, that's responsibility, that's the job. She let that sink in. Combat isn't clean. It's not clear. It's not fair. You're going to face situations where every option sucks. Your job isn't to find the perfect solution. It's to find the best possible solution and execute it with confidence. Because hesitation kills more people than wrong decisions. Mitchell looked uncomfortable. Ma'am, how do you live with that? Making choices that might kill innocents. You don't live with it. You carry it. Every mission, every day, every night when you can't sleep. That's the price of command. You don't get to feel good about your choices. You just get to make them and live with the consequences. The class went silent, heavy, real. This was what they needed, not tactics, truth. The truth that combat aviation wasn't glorious. It was brutal and complicated and morally ambiguous. And if they couldn't handle that truth in a classroom, they'd never handle it in combat. 3 months into the second class, Aria got a call at 0200. Emergency. One of her former students was in trouble. Lieutenant Marcus Webb, deployed to East Africa, providing support for a special forces team. They'd walked into an ambush. Webb was the only air asset in range. What's his status? Aria asked the operations officer on the phone. He's requesting guidance. Says the situation is exactly like Trinity Valley. Steep valley. Enemy on high ground. Friendlies pinned. He doesn't know whether to go in or stand off. Put me through to him. Static. Radio clicks. Then Webb's voice. Phoenix, that you... It's me. Talk to me, Webb. What's your situation? 12 Special Forces operators. Ambushed in a valley. Enemy has the high ground. Anti-aircraft reported. I'm at standoff range, but I can't get a clean shot without risking friendlies. If I go in close, I might get shot down. What do I do? Aria closed her eyes. Saw Trinity Valley. Saw the decision tree. Saw the risk calculation. What does doctrine say? She asked. Stay at range. Request additional assets. Wait for support. How long for support to arrive? 30 minutes. Will those operators survive 30 minutes? Silence. Then, no, they'll be dead in 10. Then you know what you have to do. Go in. Go in. But Webb, listen to me. This isn't Trinity Valley. Don't copy my tactics. This is your situation, your terrain, your decision. Use what I taught you, but make it yours. Trust your training. Trust your crew. Trust yourself. What if I'm wrong? What if I get my crew killed? Then you'll have tried. That's all anyone can ask. But Webb, you're not wrong. I've seen you fly. I've seen you think. You're ready for this. Now prove it. Yes, ma'am. Going in. The line went dead. Aria stood in her quarters holding her phone. Jace appeared in the doorway. You heard? Yeah, you just sent him into hell. I sent him to do his job. What if he doesn't make it? Then I'll carry that. But he will make it, because he's ready. They waited. 20 minutes, 30, 45. Finally, the phone rang. Phoenix Web. Mission successful. All 12 operators extracted. 0 casualties. We took some hits but made it out. Your training saved lives today. Thank you. Aria exhaled. You saved those lives, Webb. Not me. You made the call. You executed. That's all you. You taught me how. I gave you tools. You built the house. They talked for another 5 minutes. When Aria hung up, she looked at Jace. He did it, she said, because you prepared him. Because he was brave enough to use what he learned. That's the difference. Knowledge is useless without courage. He had both. The next morning, Aria addressed her current class. Last night, one of my former students faced a Trinity Valley situation. He went in, saved 12 lives, came out alive. I'm telling you this, not to brag, but to prove a point. What you learn here matters. It's not theoretical. It's not academic. It's real. And someday, maybe tomorrow, maybe next year, you're going to face your Trinity Valley. And when you do, you'll have 2 choices. Play it safe and watch people die. Or go in and give them a chance. I can't tell you which choice is right, but I can teach you how to make that choice with confidence. How to assess risk. How to execute perfectly. How to survive when survival seems impossible. That's what this program is about. Preparing you for the moment when everything depends on you. Mitchell raised her hand. Ma'am, how do you know we're ready? How do you know we won't freeze up? I don't. You don't. Nobody knows until the moment arrives. But readiness isn't about certainty. It's about preparation. You train. You practice. You fail safely. You learn. And when the moment comes, your training takes over. Your body knows what to do because you've done it 1,000 times. That's readiness, not confidence. Competence. Rodriguez spoke up. What if we fail anyway? What if we do everything right and still lose? Then you lose, and you learn from it, and you come back stronger. Failure isn't the end. Quitting is the end. As long as you keep trying, keep learning, keep growing, you're succeeding, even when it doesn't feel like it. 1 year after Trinity Valley, Aria was promoted to Major. The ceremony was small, just her unit, her students, her friends. Colonel Hayes pinned on her new rank. Congratulations, Major Lawson. You've earned this 10 times over. Thank you, sir. You've trained 90 pilots in the last year, 90, and every single one of them is better because of you. That's remarkable. That's legacy. That's teamwork. I couldn't do this alone. No. But you're the one who built it. The one who sacrificed comfort for impact. The one who chose to lead when you could have just flown. That's what makes you exceptional. After the ceremony, Captain Cole approached. He'd driven from California again. Major Lawson, he said, grinning, has a nice ring to it. Captain Cole, you didn't have to come all this way. Are you kidding? You saved my life. Watching you succeed is the least I can do. Plus, I brought someone who wanted to meet you. He stepped aside. A teenage girl stood behind him, 16, confident, wearing a flight suit. Major Lawson, this is my daughter, Emma. She's joining Civil Air Patrol, wants to be a pilot, because of you. Emma stepped forward. Ma'am, I watched your testimony, watched videos of your speeches, and I thought if she can do it, maybe I can too. So I'm trying, and I wanted to thank you for showing me it's possible. Aria knelt down to Emma's level. You don't need me to show you it's possible. You just need to believe you're worth the effort. Are you willing to work harder than everyone else? Are you willing to fail and get back up? Are you willing to prove yourself every single day? Yes, ma'am. Then you'll succeed. Not because of me, because of you, because you're committed. Remember that. Your success is yours. Own it. Emma nodded, eyes bright. Cole shook Aria's hand. You just changed her life. She changed her own life. I just told her what she already knew. 2 years after Trinity Valley Secretary Richardson called Aria to Washington again. We need to talk about the future, Richardson said. They met in the same office where this had all started. But now Aria felt different, confident, settled, sure of herself. How many pilots have you trained? Richardson asked. 215. How many have deployed? 108. How many have died? None. Richardson smiled. None. Do you understand how remarkable that is? 108 combat deployments. 0 fatalities. That's unprecedented. Your training is saving lives at a scale we've never seen before. They're good pilots. They do the work. They're good because you taught them well. Now I want to expand this program globally. Train allied pilots. NATO, Israel, Australia, Japan, everyone. I want advanced combat aviation to become the gold standard for attack aviation worldwide. Aria was quiet. That's a lot of responsibility. You've proven you can handle it. The question is, do you want to? What if I say no? Then you say no. I'm not ordering you. I'm asking. Because this only works if you're fully committed. If you're just going through the motions, it'll fail. But if you believe in this mission, if you want to change combat aviation forever, then I'm giving you the resources to do it. Aria thought about Webb, about Emma, about all the pilots who'd learned from her and used that knowledge to save lives, about all the pilots who could still learn. I'll do it, she said, but I need autonomy, need to build the program my way, need to fail without second guessing from Washington. Done. You'll report directly to me. Nobody else. Complete authority over curriculum instructors' standards. This is yours to build. They shook hands. One question, Aria said. Why me? There are more experienced pilots, better tacticians. Why trust me with this? Richardson smiled. Because you understand something most military leaders don't. That rules exist to guide, not to constrain. That innovation requires breaking convention. That the best solutions come from people willing to think differently. Trinity Valley proved you think differently. This program proves you can teach others to think differently. That's what we need. Not people who follow the old ways, people who create new ways. 5 years after Trinity Valley, Aria stood in front of 500 people, pilots from 20 nations. First International Advanced Combat Aviation Symposium. Welcome, she said. Her voice echoed through the auditorium. 5 years ago, I flew into a valley and did something stupid. Broke every rule, ignored every warning, almost died. And because of that, 300 Marines went home to their families. That mission changed my life. Not because it made me famous, but because it taught me that rules are tools, not laws. That courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite fear. That leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about making decisions when there are no good answers. She paused, looked at the faces staring back at her. Young, old, male, female, every nationality, every background, all united by one thing, the desire to be better. Since that day, I've trained over 1,000 pilots. They've flown in every combat zone on Earth. They've saved countless lives. They've proven that what I teach works, not because I'm special, but because they are. Because they took what I gave them and made it their own. They adapted. They innovated. They exceeded everything I taught them. That's what real learning looks like. Not copying, creating. She clicked to the next slide, showed footage from Webb's mission, from Chang's deployment, from dozens of other missions where her students had used unconventional tactics to save lives. This is what's possible when pilots think beyond doctrine, when they trust themselves, when they have the courage to make hard calls. Every person in these videos is alive because a pilot chose to be creative instead of conventional, chose to risk themselves instead of playing it safe. That's what I teach. Not tactics, mindset. The mindset that says, I can do this, even though it seems impossible. Because possible and impossible are just opinions until someone proves otherwise. The auditorium erupted. Standing ovation. 500 pilots on their feet. Aria stepped back. Let them applaud. Let them feel proud, because they'd earned it. Every single one of them. That evening, Aria sat alone on a balcony. Jace found her there. You okay? He asked. Just thinking. About how far we've come. 5 years ago, I was just trying to survive. Trying to prove I belonged. Trying to get through each day without breaking. And now I'm here. Training pilots from around the world. Changing how combat aviation works. Living a life I never imagined. You earned it. Did I? Or did I just get lucky in Trinity Valley and ride that luck as far as it would go? Jace sat beside her. You know what's interesting? You still doubt yourself. After everything. After 1,000 pilots trained. After hundreds of lives saved. You still think you're not enough. Because I'm not. I'm just someone who made one good decision and got famous for it. No, you're someone who made 1,000 good decisions. Trinity Valley, the testimony, the first class, every student you've taught, every innovation you've created, every life you've saved, directly or indirectly. That's not luck. That's excellence sustained over time. That's mastery. And you've earned every bit of recognition you've gotten. Aria was quiet. I still see their faces sometimes. The 4 Marines who died in Trinity Valley. I still wonder if I could have saved them too. You couldn't. You saved everyone you could save. That's all anyone can do. Is it enough? It has to be, because perfection is impossible. Doing your best is all that's possible. And you've done your best every single day for 5 years. That's enough. That's more than enough. 10 years after Trinity Valley, Aria retired from active duty. She'd reached the rank of colonel, trained over 5,000 pilots, written 3 textbooks on combat aviation tactics, testified before Congress 7 more times, changed how every military in the world trained attack helicopter pilots. Her retirement ceremony was massive. Pilots from 50 countries attended. The Secretary of Defense spoke. So did the President. So did Captain Cole, now Lieutenant Colonel Cole. But the speech that mattered most came from Lieutenant Emma Cole, now 26, now an Army pilot, now one of Aria's students. 10 years ago, Emma said, I was 16 years old. My dad brought me to meet Major Lawson after her promotion, and she told me something I've never forgotten. She said my success would be mine, that I had to own it, that she couldn't give me anything except knowledge. Everything else was up to me. Emma looked at Aria. Colonel Lawson, you taught me how to fly, how to think, how to lead. But more than that, you showed me what's possible when you refuse to accept limitations. When you believe you're worth the effort. When you commit to excellence even when everyone doubts you. You didn't just open doors for women in combat aviation. You kicked the damn doors down and invited us all through. And thousands of us walked through those doors and built careers and saved lives and proved that excellence has no gender. That's your legacy, not Trinity Valley. Us. All of us. Every pilot you trained. Every life we've saved. Every person we've inspired. That's what you built. That's what lives forever. The crowd stood, applauded, some crying, some saluting, all grateful. Aria stood at the podium, last speech, final words. Thank you, she said, all of you, for everything. But I want to be clear about something. I didn't build this alone. Jace Moreno, who flew with me in Trinity Valley and taught beside me for 10 years. The Marines who survived and reminded me why this matters. My students who took what I taught and made it better. Everyone who believed in this mission even when it seemed impossible. This is your legacy too. We built this together. She paused, felt emotion rising, didn't fight it. Trinity Valley changed my life, but not how you think. It didn't make me brave. It revealed that I already was. It didn't make me a leader. It forced me to become one. It didn't give me purpose. It clarified the purpose I already had, to matter, to save lives, to make a difference. That's what we all want, to know that we mattered, that our time here meant something, that we left the world better than we found it. She looked at the crowd. 5,000 faces, young and old, current students and former students, colleagues and friends. I'm retiring from the military, but I'm not retiring from this mission. I'll keep teaching, writing, speaking, because this work is never finished. There's always another pilot to train, another life to save, another person to inspire. And I'll keep doing that until I physically can't, because that's what Phoenix does. She doesn't quit. She doesn't fade. She keeps rising. Every day, every challenge, every opportunity. She stepped back from the podium, saluted the flag, held it. The crowd saluted back. 5,000 hands raised, 5,000 lives touched, 5,000 reasons why everything she'd been through was worth it. 20 years after Trinity Valley Aria was 69 years old, she still taught, one class a year, advanced tactics for instructor pilots, the elite of the elite. Lieutenant Marcus Webb, now Brigadier General Webb, had taken over day-to-day operations of ACA, but he still called Aria weekly, still asked advice, still treated her like the commander she'd always been. One afternoon, Aria got a visitor, a young woman, 22, nervous, holding a folder. "Colonel Lawson," the woman said. "I'm Second Lieutenant Maria Rodriguez. I just graduated from flight school, top of my class, and I wanted to thank you." "Thank me for what?" "For existing, for proving it's possible. My grandmother was Sergeant First Class Maria Rodriguez. She called you once, years ago, told you that her daughter wanted to be a pilot because of you." Aria remembered. "Your grandmother, is she?" "She passed 2 years ago, but before she died, she told me to find you. To tell you that her granddaughter became a pilot, that 3 generations of our family have served because of you. My grandmother served, my mother served, and now me, because you showed us what's possible." The young woman handed Aria the folder. Inside was a family photo. 3 women in uniform, 3 generations, 3 lives changed by one decision in a valley 20 years ago. Aria held the photo, felt tears coming. Let them come. "Your grandmother was a good woman," Aria said, "and you're going to be a great pilot. Not because of me, because of the women who came before you. Honor them. Make them proud." "I will, ma'am. I promise." Pohan. Aria Lawson died at 83 years old, peacefully, in her sleep, surrounded by family. Her funeral was attended by 10,000 people, pilots she'd trained, Marines she'd saved, students she'd taught, leaders she'd inspired. Jace Marino, now 94 and using a cane, gave the eulogy. Aria hated being called a hero, he said. His voice was strong despite his age. She'd tell you she was just a pilot who got lucky. But we all know the truth. She was remarkable, not because of one mission, but because of 10,000 missions. Every student she taught, every life she saved, every door she opened, every barrier she destroyed. That was her mission, not Trinity Valley. That was just the beginning. He paused, looked at the crowd. "She taught me that courage isn't fearlessness. It's flying anyway. That leadership isn't certainty. It's making decisions despite uncertainty. That excellence isn't perfection. It's trying your hardest every single day." And she lived those lessons for 60 years, until her last breath. That's what makes her a legend. Not what she did once, what she did always. The service ended. They buried her with full military honors. A missing man formation flew overhead. 4 Apaches. The 4th peeling away. Empty seat. Phoenix rising one final time. Her headstone was simple. Just her name, rank, and call sign. Below that one line, "She taught us to fly beyond limits." And in bases around the world, in hangars and classrooms and cockpits, Pilots still gathered to tell stories about Phoenix. About the pilot who saved 300 Marines. About the instructor who trained 10,000 more. About the woman who proved that barriers only exist until someone refuses to accept them. They told those stories to new students, young pilots with dreams bigger than their fear. And those students listened, and learned, and flew, and saved lives, because Phoenix taught them how. Not through glory, through grit, not through perfection, through persistence. Not through being fearless, through being courageous despite fear. That was her legacy, not a single mission. A movement, a mindset. A generation of pilots who flew differently, thought differently, led differently because one woman refused to accept limitations. Trinity Valley made her famous, but the decades after made her immortal. Because fame fades, impact endures. And Aria Lawson's impact would endure for generations. In every pilot who thought beyond doctrine, in every leader who chose courage over caution, in every person who saw her story and thought, if she could do it, maybe I can too. That was Phoenix. Not the woman who saved 300 Marines, the woman who inspired 3 million people to be better than they thought possible. To fly higher, to think deeper, to matter more. She didn't just rise from the ashes, she taught everyone else how to rise too, and that made all the difference. In the end, they didn't mock the little girl pilot anymore. They studied her, they honored her, they became her, and the world was better because she refused to stay grounded when everyone said she couldn't fly. She flew anyway, and in doing so she gave wings to everyone who came after. That was her story. That was her triumph. That was Phoenix.